field, this is the current field, right? So if I click set condition, it's going to say current field. All right. And then I'm going to say if current field equals yes, and I'll switch back to basic mode here and uncheck both of this. I'm going to say show. And then I'm going to add another rule. Okay. And again, I'm going to uncheck this for now. Don't worry about these for now. I'll explain to you guys in a minute. Current field equals no, then go ahead and hide. And then if I add another rule, and this one's going to, if current field is empty.
Amit, can I jump in for a second?
Sure.
Yeah, don't do it with the basic mode because like you don't want to hide yourself. It will never work.
Okay, so I'll do it on this.
Yeah, let's start from beginning. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, fine, got it. So let's get rid of this rule here, and then we'll do it on this one here. We'll say if current field, we'll say, would you like to give us feedback equals yes. Then we're going to go ahead and do a show and add another rule. I'll say would you like to give us current equals no, then go ahead and hide this field. And then add rule, like to give us equals, is empty, then go ahead and hide this field. So what we're saying is if would you like to give us feedback, the drop down equals yes, then show this field. If you'd like to give us feedback equals no, then hide this field.
Amit, let's stop for a second, okay? Bear with me. Mute it and give us a second, guys.
Yeah. All right, guys, sorry about that. We're not going to use the basic mode, and so we're going to show you how it works a little bit differently. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. All right, so I'll go ahead and write a condition on it, and I'll say, so we won't enable this for now because it does the opposite. But you can check out by clicking on the video later. So right now, I'll just say if current field equals yes, go ahead and show me star rating. Okay, and then what support opposite literally means here is this. If this equals yes and it shows, support opposite means, okay, well, if it's the opposite of that, it will hide. And I'll give you a quick example on how it works. Click apply, save, and then preview. All right, you can see it's hidden at the moment because it's not yes. And if I click yes, it's going to go ahead and show you the star rating. So you can go ahead and do that. All right, so that's very simple in terms of how you can write a conditional logic and what support opposite means. I'll give you a quick example. If support opposite wasn't ticked, what would happen? If I uncheck this, click apply, and then just refresh this, you can see it's there, right? Because that's where it's not going to support the opposite at all. So if I click yes or no, it doesn't really matter because it's only the criteria for the opposite is not there. Sometimes you might be writing multiple conditions, and in that case, it might be a good idea to add unchecked support opposite. So for example, let's say I'm doing add rule, if current field equals no. Now you don't want both of these checked either, because they're going to start conflicting with each other, okay? So in that case, you wouldn't want to have both of these checked. However, if you know you're only writing a one criteria on this, and it equals yes, and you check support opposite, this will work really, really nicely. So as you can see, if I refresh this now, support opposite, if I check yes, star rating's there. If I check no, it's not there. Okay, so that's using the conditions where you do equals. Now you've got tons of operators here to work with. Not contain, starts with, ends with, not equal, equal or case. So this is a really, really handy feature, and you can just work with each one of these. In your course, I've done video almost for each one of these here, so you'll really be able to get a good example and understand how it works. Next up, I want to talk about force execution and how this works. So let me go ahead and set up a new field here. And I will use a text box. And then I'll bring another text box here. I'll call this field product. And I'll call this field quantity. Okay, and here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go and write a condition on this field. Set conditions. I'm going to uncheck support opposite here, and I'm going to uncheck this one now, and I'll show you how it works. If I say if current field is not empty, I'm going to show you why it wouldn't work, and then I'm going to show you how it works. Click to configure results, set this field to mandatory, okay? Now I'm going to write another rule on this, and this rule is not going to work, by the way, and I'll show you why. Let me uncheck both, and I'm going to say if current field is not empty, click to configure results, set value, let's say set value 10, okay? So in the first one, we said if it's not empty, make the quantity field mandatory. And the second one, we said current field is not empty, set the value to 10. So now what you'll notice is only the first one will work. So if I click save and I preview and I type by, you can see it's set this to mandatory, but there is no value that I've specified for the second rule. Why is that? And that's where force execution comes into play. So if now these are checked, now Formtitan is forced to evaluate the criteria and execute the queries. So obviously in the first one, it makes it mandatory, but now in the second one, it will also set the value to 10, okay? So it's saying, okay, I'll evaluate this criteria regardless, and I'm now going to evaluate this criteria as well. So if I show you how it works, click save, give it a refresh, and I'll type in test, and now you can see that it's set the quantity to 10 as well as it's made it mandatory. So that's where force execution comes into play, and is important. That if you've got multiple rules on one field, be sure to check force execution, then it will be executing as per the line. However, if it's not checked like this, it will only execute the first one there as well. Benny, so you want to jump in there?
No, all good.
Okay, all good. So that's the force execution and the support opposite. One more thing I'd like to talk about is when your conditionals get messed up and they don't work, and why they don't work and what to do about it. So let's say, let's go and configure my conditions here, and I'll get rid of this one. And I'll say if current field is not empty, then show this field, okay? However, this field is now going to end up overlapping this one just by a bit. So if I save and then I preview, 1 second, let me just make the label a bit bigger here. Let's say like this. So basically what you want to do is whenever you write your conditions, you want to make sure there's enough spacing between the elements and that they're not overlapping each other. When they overlap each other, that's where it's going to be a problem. And your conditional logic is not going to fire, because when the fields are overlapping each other, that's an issue, okay? So you need to make sure you correct the spacing for each element, make sure there's enough space, at least to 0. So we discussed in our first session how to do that. Make sure that your spacing is correct, okay? It's 0, 5, but it can't be minus or whatever. It can't be overlapping against each other, because as soon as it does that, you're gonna know what the issue is. Secondly, if you're ever confused about what conditions are occurring where, you need to click on the field, and under conditioning, under condition is set, you've got something called affected by. And if you click on this, if you've set a condition, you'll be able to see what sort of stuff it's getting affected by. So look, you can see there's a condition here. It says show product, and then you can just configure condition. It will take you and show you what that condition is doing. So if you ever want to know how to, if you're having a problem with conditions and you know your spacing is right, but it's not working, be sure to click on the affected field and have a look what sort of conditions are there, and make sure there aren't multiple conditions that are conflicting with each other. So that's really important as well. And that's under the field, the element you click on, conditioning, and then affected by. Anyone missed anything here?
No, very good.
Okay, so that's conditional logic in a nutshell. And then from there on, you can really expand and build it as per you like. Next up, I want to talk about validation rules. Something that's incredibly important. You have validation rules in Salesforce, so why not at Formtitan level? This is really, really important. So I'll demonstrate a couple of validation rules, and then we can take it from there on. So let's say I'll get the address field here. Now in Formtitan, I'm not sure if any of you are aware, but you can do address validation in Formtitan. So let's say this is the address field. I'll click on it, and on the right-hand side, value rule, this is where you write all your validation rules on the field. So you need to click on set value rules. And then here, it's pretty similar to conditional logic, but there is a few differences, minor differences they need to be aware about. First of all, if validation rules don't match, you can write a custom error message, and I will do this in a bit. But for this address, what I'm going to do is choose address validation. And then if you have a country code, you can add your country code here, like US or UK, or for Israel, either one. If you don't want to add any country code, you can leave it as it is and it will still work. So let's say I go and apply this, and I save and preview. Ben, you got a postcode for me? So I can chuck it in there?
Well,
or should I use one of my own?
Yeah, you use one of yours. Like you want to do, yeah, it will autocomplete.
Yeah, so if you type in like...
You can do like Beverly Hills, like, and it's fine.
Sure. So look, as you go to type the postcode, it will start to predict your postcode for you. And then if you click on it, it will auto-populate that data. So really, really handy feature, because it will do address validation. It will save your customers a lot of time filling in the data prior to, rather than them having to fill in, they can just go in here and type in any address, and then it will go ahead and populate that for you. So really, really handy. This one's in US. I'll do one for UK right now as well. Look, this is an address within the UK, and now it's done the UK address as well. So really, really handy functionality. And to enable this, you just need to click on it, set value rules, set your address validation. If you're in US, UK, you can set it to that. If you want to set it for all over the world, then you can just leave this empty. So that's how you set the address validation rules. Now I'm going to show you a couple more right now and how they work. So let's go ahead and delete this. Let's say if I get a text box here, and I'll call this mobile number. Okay, And then in the mobile number, I can write a condition here. I can say, set value rule, sorry. I can say valid if numbers only. Okay, so what I'm saying is this field can only accept numbers. If it's alphanumeric, or if it's alpha, it can't even accept alphanumeric. It can only accept numbers. So if this isn't true, I can write a custom error message. I can say, please enter numbers only. Okay, if I click apply, and now let's make this a bit wider so you'll be able to see the error message as well. I'll click save and then just preview this page. If I type in like a number, it's good, it's not bad. But if I type in alphabetical character, it says please enter numbers only. Okay, so this is where you can write validation rules per field, and it's really, really nice. Exactly the same way you would do in Salesforce. And then you can add, so you can add double validation. So one from Formtitan and one to Salesforce. Very, very nice feature as well. And you've got tons of different options available here as well. You can use equal or, contains, you know, minimum max length. You can even use a bit of JavaScript. And I'll show you how this works as well. So let's do a bit of JavaScript. So I've got a script here that I'm going to use, and what it does, that it shows you that the date can't be greater than today. So let's see, let's get rid of this and I'll show you how it works. Let's delete this, save, let's get a date. All right, so let's increase this. And then let's save that. And I'll go ahead and type in, I don't know, we can just type in date, call it demo date or something. And then if I click on the field, I'll go to a value rule here, set value rule. To enter JavaScript, you'll need to select custom, okay? And then custom, and then you can click configure. All right, so here we can say date can't be greater than today. So I'll go ahead and now get my script, just to save time. I'll paste this in here, like this. And then I'll say, look, it'll say return is valid, and then you can just write an error message. You can either write an error message here, or you can either write an error message in there. It's up to you. I'll write mine in there. I'll say date can't be greater than today. Okay, and then you go ahead and click apply, and then apply again, save, preview. And if I select anything in the future, it will say date can't be greater than today, right? However, if I choose something in the past, like this, let's see. So let's say I'll pick today's date, which is the 4th. Let's see here. So look, it says date can't be greater than today. So that's how the you can write JavaScript and execute that and show the error messages. Really, another really handy feature as well. So that's a bit of JavaScript that you can use. And again, so let's cancel this and I'll show you. You can, again, add tons of stuff. I've covered this in the course with multiple functionality. You can even use regex as well, numbers only, alphanumeric. And yeah, you can use is empty, is not empty, even between. Let's say if you have like dates or numbers, you can use that as well. So you can write validation rules there too. Okay, so that's validation rule. Benny, anything you want to cover in here that I've missed?
No, all good actually.
Okay, so shall we move on to the calculated?
Yeah, we can start like doing like calculated and then conditional logic instead repeat.
Okay, sure. So for calculated field, just type calculated and under your elements. And you can do a bunch of stuff with this at the moment. So I'll quickly go and apply and we'll get some data in here. let's say I'm going to do 2 fields. I'll get 2 fields here, text box. And is there anything in specific in mind you want me to show these guys?
I can take it. Like, give me a second. I'll prepare like my PC. 1 second.
Okay, no worries.
Can you make me the host?
Yep. 1 moment. Okay, you're the host now.
Can you see my screen? Like I'm moving like a calculated field.
I cannot see your screen yet. I think because I need to stop sharing. So I'll stop share and you can.
I'll try again. Why not? Try again. Can you see it now?
Yep, I can see your screen.
Okay. So about the calculated, let's start with the basic. It can work with the numeric field. So if you want to do calculation, so this is why we call it calculated. So the basic is like numeric. So we can say, take a number, let's say 555. Let's go and see how it looks. So like 255, I think it's like 11. Oh, maybe it's 10. Good. So it's doing right. And you can like do a lot of formula. And you don't have to use it basically. You don't have to show it to the user. You can do calculation field and then go to height per device, like in the element style. So the user will never see it, but you can still work with it in the conditional logic or send it to Salesforce. Now, what more you can do with the calculated is like string, and this is more important. 1 second. So I'm switching to calculated string mode, and then it's work like a text editor. So I can build like a string, let's say plus shy, and you will see what's happening. There you go. Okay, so it built like a string. Now, let's make it more cool. I'm gonna build something like in a second. I'm gonna take a repeat. Give me like a minute to build it. One second. Let's see this. Two more minutes. Price, like quantity, like this will be the total. So we've got this double quantity, and this will be doing sum for the calculated in. You just need to put it inside. So let's see how it works. Like I'm gonna do the styling a bit. This one, good. I'm ready. So we've got like 266, like 366, like 233, like 6, and then it's 6. I'll add another one, like 433, 6 plus 12, 18. Okay, so you can calculate it thing like within a repeat. You can also do like repeat inside repeat. There's like no limits. Let's do it with string. So with string, we can do like a text machine. So I'll show you. I'll do the same thing. Quantity is, and then let's get the quantity. Change this one. There you go. I'm gonna make it bigger. Let's see. Okay, it's only work on the quantity now. So the quantity is like 2, 2, 2, and then I'll add another one, 4, 4, 4. So you see, like it build like a string. It can build like a story. Like if you build in like a case and you want to do concatenation of like text within your fields or like Salesforce or like hidden field, you can build it and then push it to Salesforce. And again, you can simply hide it, okay? You can hide it so the user will never see it, and you still can push it and use it. It's very, very powerful. Now, what else you can do with the calculated is the function mode. So let me take it. The function mode, it means you can write like a JavaScript. So basically, we've got a few modes of JavaScript. I'll switch to this guy. It's like a new editor that we've got. So with the JavaScript, you can simply do whatever code you want. Like any date, any manipulation, string, or like calculation, and you can do like conditional logic within, and then return the value. And basically, there's no limit. You can even do like HTTP request to another service and get like value and then push it. Anything else you want me to add, like about the calculated field?
Yeah, I've just got a question for Amir here. Can you show again how it's calculated out?
Yeah. Basically, whenever we see a calculated field that is within another calculated, we will do the sum. In this case, it's not like a numeric sum. You just like do a text sum. We take all the values and do a concatenation automatically. You don't need to write anything, because like the in is a calculated field, and whenever a calculated field is inside the calculated field, and the first one is inside a repeat, we will do it automatically for you. Okay. Let's see what more, like on the chat. 1 second. Let's see. I can't see the chat. Why not? Okay. Anything else like on the chat, Ami?
Yes, it said, what about the average? How to do
Okay,
how to do an average?
If you want to do an average, like you can just go and do it with JavaScript. You got all the values, and you can do like an mat.average, and you do the average. Okay. Let's do something like this, Amit. We can take like a repeat.
Yeah.
With a simple like conditional logic and custom button like push to Salesforce. So for example, I'll give you like the layout and you can take it from. So something like this. Let's say you load in like a bunch of account. Let's take a hidden field like this. We'll take a text box like this. So we're gonna load a bunch of accounts. I'll show you in a second. Account name, account ID, go into my Salesforce integration. Okay. I'll load like something on load, not really important what, like 20 accounts. This one. This one is the name. And this one is my ID. Here we go. Let's see how it looks first. Okay. Okay, so we've got like a bunch of accounts. Now let's say that I want to do something like a specific logic for every iteration. Okay, so for example, like let's see what we've got. I want to make this account name disabled if it does not contain E. Okay, let's start with this one. So we're gonna do. I'm gonna load like the value to another one. Basically, I don't like to work with the basic one. So account name hidden, and we prevent from recursive patterns. So you cannot like touch and change a field from yourself. So because it can make you really problems. So I'm gonna map the value, and then I'll do a condition on the value. We'll see in a second. This one. I'm gonna switch to debug mode. and then we'll see it working and do the logic. So basically, if the account name does not contain E, I want to disable the field. So I'm going to do the condition. Not contain, let's say E. Then I want to take the name and disable. Let's see it working. Okay. So like this one disable and this one is enable. Okay, this is like first part. Now the second part, I want to do a button. I want to add a button. We're going to do a custom action. So just so you will see what's happening before. Okay, so I want to click on a button that will only going to affect a specific section. So how it works. So I'm going to create like an update in Salesforce. I'm going to do a quick Salesforce push. So account update based on account ID equals my hidden field account ID. It's like going to be a custom action, and we're going to map the account name. Okay, I'm going to the button again. I'm going to attach the function. Okay. So what will happen now by doing so, if I click on the button like this, it's not connected now because I didn't refresh, it will try to update everything, okay? Because the button is not connected to a specific repeat. So what you need to do is this. On the action, we've got this option, execute per repeat. It means trigger it only for the specific item you clicked on. It's really, really important. So I'm going to do it now. So we've got this one. I'm going to update messy. It saved only this one. If we go to the integration, we see one action. And this one is, one second, let me just go back. Okay, so this one is messy. It only update one record. Okay, Amit, anything else?
No, that's pretty good.
Okay, let's see what you want to see. Any questions, like on the chat?
No questions at the moment, guys. Please post your questions if you got any.
Okay, let's continue with the next part. Like we can do like the smart V.
Yeah, we can do the smart V. Do you want to make me a host?
Yes, sure. 1 second. Why I don't see? 1 second.
Okay. Right, are you seeing my screen now?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Okay, Smart V. Really cool functionality. Just allows your end customer to log in using a two-factor authentication code as well. You will need the gold license to work with this. So if you can't access the Smart V, chances are you probably don't have the license. So be aware of that fact in itself. So what I'll do is I'll create some data in here. Like I'll get full name, first name, last name. I'll get email. And then I'll get a text box that just simply does mobile. Okay, like this. Then in order to enable Smart V, you need to type under Elements, Smart V. It'll look like this. And then you just drag it onto the layout and just leave it. from here on, it's going to give you a bunch of options. We won't be able to go through all of them, but as I've said it before, check the question mark and you'll be able to get the answers required. So here, I'm going to configure my Salesforce integration. I can choose any object I want, and I can enable SmartV on it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use contact as my object for SmartV. If I click apply, now I have to add a bunch of fields to make sure that the SmartV is going to work. So the first field I'm going to use is contact ID, because we know that's going to be the value that we'll use. Then I use an email, because that's what we'll send our two-factor authentication code to. So you set the email as an email. And I'll tell you what secret is. A secret is a field in Salesforce that will contain your two-factor authentication code. Okay, so I'll show you what mine looks like in Salesforce, just a standard text field. Just go in here. And here is my secret key. Okay, it's just a text field. You can obviously add that into your Salesforce, make it read-only if you wish. It's up to you. And then you just simply add it into the mapping. I'll call it a secret key like this, and then I'll just add, and I'll mark this as a secret key. Once you've done that, and you got your value, got your secret, and you got your email, click apply, and your SmartV is fully configured. So look, if I click save, and then I click preview, there is the login screen. All right, and this login screen is fully customizable. Like you can add your own header, footer, you can completely brand it to your own colors. You can even change the captions. Next up, it's important that once you've set up the SmartV, that there is a way to link your data with it. Okay, so remember, this produces the contact ID as a value. So what we can do is we can do a simple get. We go to Salesforce integration. Actually, I want to show you the before and the after quickly. So let's say I'll type in this email here, okay? I'll type this in, and it's going to spit out a two-factor authentication code to that email. So it makes it really nice and secure. So if I go to my Gmail, and there is my code waiting there for me, 67366. 67366. If I continue, you can see that none of the information is actually loaded. Even though I've typed in this person's email, but there is no information. It's because we need to link it together. And here's how you do it. You go to a get, you add an object.
Can I jump in?
Sure.
We've got the new option. You can do it from the SmartV. The
mapping, yeah. So that's what, yeah. So the other way of actually doing this, good point, Benny, is you can actually map the fields directly in here. So if you click Salesforce integration, we've got something called map fields. And you can set the mapping here. So I can just use first name, I can use last name, I can use email, and then I can bring back the mobile in here. But there's one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back account ID. So I'm going to show you the account later as well. So let's get a hidden field. And we'll call this account ID. And then in my SmartV, I'm just going to go ahead and map my hidden field to account ID, just like that. Okay. If I apply and finish now, click apply, save, and now let's test this. I will enable hidden fields so we can see it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. It's going to give me a chance to log in. I log in, it will send me a two-factor authentication code again. So let's go to my email. Here it is, 41740. 41740. I'll continue, and look, there is my data. All right, so it's really nice and secure. And from here on, the options are endless and limitless. It's also got the account ID, and now I'm going to show you how to get the related account details in here using this account ID. So you can go from one object, one to many, many to many. So let's go back in here. And what we'll do now is get another text box. and we'll call this account name. And then I'll just copy this text box again. We'll call this account number. All right. And then I will go to my get, Salesforce integration get, because I want to read data from Salesforce like this. And then I want to add an object. My object is going to be account. Okay, I'm going to add a comment, read account data based on SmartV. My condition is going to be account ID in Salesforce must equal account ID, my hidden field, like this. Apply, and then I just have to map the two fields here. So I'm going to bring back name in here and account number in here. So if I apply and finish, save, let's go and test this out. Mail.com, let's add this, continue. It's going to send me my two-factor authentication code. It's there, 65008. I'll log in, and you can see there is the account related to this contact. So if I show you in Salesforce, this is the account, Formtitan, and this is the account number here. So right there, and this has now been brought back into the SmartV. So these are just like some immediate basics that you can start off with, and it's super handy because now you can bring all sorts of data back, but make it super secure, and you start to think, what else can you add in there? There's tons of stuff that you can add in here. Benny, I was thinking I'll show you these guys' tables, like bring back all the cases related to a contact.
You can, but I think like we've got like 15 minutes, so maybe we can show like the session, enable session.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
Like customizing like the email of the SmartV.
Sure, gotcha. Okay, no worries. All right, enable session. What does this mean? If you click on the SmartV, let's say you check this option. Now it means that, let's say if I set this to 60 minutes, the value, which is 1 hour. In 1 hour, when the 60 minutes are done, this form is not going to be available to the user. It will become idle. So they will have to relog back in. And why this is important, I'll show you why. So let's say I preview this session now, okay? And then if I go ahead and now log in.
Maybe remove the two-factor authentication.
Yeah, yeah. Let me disable 2FA quickly just so it's faster. Like this. Save. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so in here, what's going to happen is every time you run an action or a submit, the SmartV will log you out. But if you have enabled session enabled, you can obviously continue to do multiple things within a form, and you will still be there, and you will continue to work from one page to another, to another, to another. So that's where it's really, really important. And after 60 minutes, this form is not going to be available, and the user has to log in again. So this really is handy because you don't want them logging in and out every minute to do things, and it becomes quite annoying. Therefore, make sure you set the value where you feel it's comfortable. It could be 2 hours, it could be 3 hours, whatever is comfortable for you. So that's where you can do, that's where you can set that it's an enabled session. Okay, next up, what does disable 2FA means? Well, if you don't want them to use a two-factor authentication code and you're happy for them to just log in using their email, then you can just disable it. And what will happen is they can go ahead and type in their email, and then off you go, they're in there. Obviously, we do not recommend this. It's not very secure because anybody, if you can get access to an email, it's fine. But if you've got like a public form that you don't really care about the data, then you can enable just a small login and disable 2FA if required. From there on, you've got tons of different stuff you can play with within the SmartV itself. The one that I want to talk about is the email setting. So what you can do is you can completely customize this email that goes out to a user. So this is what mine looks like. Hi, please use the following security code in order to log into the form. Okay. And you can fully customize this in here to really match your branding needs. You can also disable this. So if you want to run the emails from Salesforce, you can write like a formula field on, not formula, sorry, a workflow or a process builder or anything else that triggers an email. You can write it based on the Formtitan secret key. You can say, when this is modified, send an email with the code in it to your user.
Or an SMS.
Or an SMS as well, yeah. So if you're using SMS, you can send SMS and you can really customize it to as per your branding needs. So that way you can disable what comes from Formtitan and use your own email if you wish. And then from here on, you can obviously use the from name email, reply to in case they have any problems, they can reply to you with your email, change and completely customize this to fit your branding needs. So that's the emails and what the enable session does. I want to talk about generate one link. What does this actually mean? So let's say I'm going to disable 2FA and check this quickly. And then I'll preview and type in my email. And then let's see, in my inbox, I'm going to receive a code, okay? But look, so I have two options. This is what generate link does. You can either use the code or you can log in directly using this link. So I don't have to bother copying the code, adding it in here. I can just click on the link, one link, and then here I'm in the form, okay? So that's how the generate one link works, that it will just generate the link for you. The user won't have to bother copying, pasting the code. They can just click on the link and they will go into the form itself. Anything else you want me to cover, Benny?
No, I think like they can play with the trail a bit later. Like there are like a lot of options with the smart view, really a lot. Maybe we can jump on like back to the conditional logic, so we can show them they can do like execute JavaScript, they can do like execute Salesforce action, and not just like show and hide.
Yeah, got it. Okay, no worries, I can do that. Just got a quick question. The secret key.
We've got like 5 more minutes, guys, so we can ask questions for itself.
Yeah, the question is, the secret key a must? Yeah, it is. It depends, actually. If you want to use the two-factor authentication, then you will need the secret key. But if you're using some other means, like it's fully customizable, then you don't have to use the secret key. So let's get rid of this. Let's talk about conditional logic and what sort of stuff you can do with it. So let's say I'm creating a contact and I want the fields to become mandatory after certain fields have been modified. So you can really go ahead and then, let's say if I move this down a bit, move this up. Okay, so look, if I click on this field and I say, if current field is empty, is not empty, sorry, then you can write a bunch of different criteria. So I'll show you where you can execute JavaScript. If current field is not empty, you can enter your JavaScript in here and execute it. And then when it meets the criteria, it will execute the JavaScript, okay? Then you can affect other fields as well, like this full name. You can set this to read write. You can make it mandatory. You can show, hide, enable, disable. You've got lots of these options, okay? Let's say if I make this field mandatory, and let's say this field mandatory as well. So you can do all of these options and you can do them all in a batch to save you time rather than having to do one or the other. So if I type in test demo, you can see now they become mandatory, and that's really handy. And let's say another configure conditions. Let's talk about executing a Salesforce action based on a conditional logic. So here's what I'll say. You don't even need a submit button for this. You can just execute it once it's been completed. So let's say I'll do, I'll get rid of this and I'll create an account. And we'll call this one prospect rating. And I'll sync this from Salesforce quickly. Okay, so now I'll write a conditional logic, okay, without even ever having a submit button. First thing first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a push. And I'm going to use account. I'm going to say this creates account. And then I'm going to check using custom button / action. And the two fields I'm going to map is, let's say, account name, and then account type. Prospect rating. And then apply, and then apply. Okay, so now you would think I would need a submit button to do this. Nope, not at all. I can just write a simple condition. I can say if current field here, set condition, if current field is not empty, then go ahead and execute my Salesforce action that I'm creating here now, and then click apply, and then apply. Okay, then apply. Check this. So look what happens if I now go ahead and preview this. I'll type in demo account essentials. I'll choose a prospect rating to be hot. And as soon as I've selected that, it's executed the Salesforce action. Okay. So now if I go under my form integration logs, you can see the account's been created. Right there. So that account's been created without ever having to have a submit button. And that's where you can set up conditional logic to do just about anything you want. And there are tons of options. So you should really, chances are, if you're building a very complex form, you will come across and end up using most of these options. So yeah, tons of options here. Play around with it. You can show a message, open a modal, run a Salesforce action, execute a certain button, execute JavaScript, and all of that. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions. Benny, anything before we ask these questions?
I think we covered the question. It's fine.
Yeah.
Replying in the chat. Okay,
got it. Perfect. Anything else?
For my side, we're good. Guys, we're going to finish like in a minute. So, okie dokie.
Cool. So
I think we're done. Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming along into the session.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.